Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. It's wonderful to be together, and I always feel like, whenever we are together and there's like some connection, some conversation and schmoozing, I feel like I can't stop the schmoozing. So, I hopefully there will be a little bit of that, that opportunity to speak a little bit, to be together. As of course we know, right, that as the old story goes, that Sarah goes to synagogue to talk to God, and that Sally goes to synagogue to talk to Sarah. So we are together tonight to be able to find our voices as one. And there's a power simply for that in and of itself and by itself. The opportunity to be together in community. And it is possible to be with another group of people and not feel like you are part of a community, which is one of the reasons why this evening we come together to offer the same words, the same melodies, the same songs, so that we can feel like we are one, so that we can be together on this project of this holiday. We have a number of other reasons why we gather this evening as well. We have celebrations this weekend. We'll have more from Sam a little bit later. And this Shabbat, we also wear pink. We have some pink going on. I see some pink around our community. Yep. Because we know, I see pink kippah. Because we know that there is strength in being together. And strength is one of the most powerful sources of healing. This Shabbat, we honor and find strength and healing as we note and mark that breast cancer is a reality for the members of our community. This evening, we will have the opportunity to hear from a member of our community and her story surviving breast cancer, and the hope this evening is to raise awareness about this particular cause. Knowing again that there is healing and strength in sharing our stories, and healing and strength in being together. Well, just a little bit of housekeeping before we begin. We have asked that anyone who is here with us in person this evening to wear a mask, and that is wearing a mask over our mouth and over our nose as well. And for those of you who are here and looking at Cantor and I, and for everyone who is online as well, you'll certainly be looking at the two of us and saying, that's all fine and good, but the two of you are not wearing a mask. We have very recently, very recently, we had taught Shabbat, so we came here, taken COVID tests, and we have both tested negative. But as an extra precaution, we've cleared the first couple of rows. The hope is by us clearing the first couple of rows, taking this test so that we can have our masks not on for this service, that you'll be able to hear us a little bit more easily. I also want to just mention for anyone who is joining us online that we have a stream on Facebook and on YouTube, and I want to welcome everyone who is joining us online, as well as a stream on our website, tilb.org. And at the very top of that page, you'll see a button for live stream. The reason why I mention that is not only is there a slightly higher quality stream on that site, but as we get to the later part of our service and offer a prayer for healing and a prayer remembering those who have passed away, you'll be able to offer the names of those that you are thinking of in the TILB stream, and we'll be able to read their names out loud. We won't be able to read the names on Facebook and YouTube, although by all means, please, I invite you to share on that, on those platforms. And if you are online right now, I invite you as well to write Shabbat Shalom to welcome one another for everyone who is joining us online. Well, I mentioned this evening that we are finding healing and strength. And there is, I think, also healing and strength from finding solidarity, not just with one another here, but one another throughout the generations of our tradition. There's a power to sharing words and offering words that have been said for generations and generations. And so, many years ago, the teacher, Rabbi Nachman of Wroclaw, who fills many roles in our tradition, he was a descendant of the founder of Hasidism, and many actually say, and this is a story for another time, that he is actually the founder of Jewish folktelling. Among the many things that he offered to our community were the words and the reminder that the entire world is like walking across a very narrow bridge, knowing that we might have fear, knowing that it might be unsure of exactly how we will make it to the other side. He reminds us the most important part is to remain strong, to not be afraid. So we offered those words, Gesher Tsar Me'od. You can find those words on page 339 of our prayer books if you'd like to follow along, page 339.
Kol haolam kulo
Gesher Tsar Me'od,
Gesher Tsar Me'od, Gesher Tsar Me'od, Kol haolam kulo Gesher Tsar Me'od, Gesher Tsar Me'od. V'haikar, v'haikar, lo lefached klal. V'haikar, v'haikar, lo lefached klal. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. The whole entire world is a very narrow bridge, a very narrow bridge. But the main thing is to recall, is to have no fear at all. But the main thing is to recall, is to have no fear at all. Yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai. Kol haolam kulo Gesher Tsar Me'od, Gesher Tsar Me'od, Gesher Tsar Me'od. Kol haolam kulo Gesher Tsar Me'od, Gesher Tsar Me'od.
Well, each and every time we have the opportunity to open our voices, each and every time we sing, it is a new song. And so we look to words that are literally thousands of years and remind us that each and every time we offer these words taken from our Psalms, it is a new song, given that it is sung at a new moment, at a new time, and in this new day of our lives. So we sing together on page 13, Shir Chadash. Let us sing a new song, ancient words that are made new through our voices tonight.
Shiru l'Adonai kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash, Shiru l'Adonai kol ha'aretz, Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. Sing unto God, all the earth, a new song. I will sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God, and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. Shiru l'Adonai kol haaretz. Shiru l'Adonai shir chadash. I will sing unto God a new song.
Well, this next prayer comes to us from the Kabbalists. It's a part of the service called Kabbalat Shabbat, which was added to the beginning of the service to bring our hearts and minds into this space of Shabbat. And the Kabbalists used to go out into the hills and look out at the sky as the sun was setting, and they were so moved, they would write poems. One of them felt that the moment of Shabbat was so festive, was such a beautiful celebration, that it was like the moment of two people bringing their lives together. And he actually wrote a poem talking about this particular idea. In fact, I was just talking to a wedding couple today. Often wedding couples today will choose different language for their vows. Some will choose the traditional language of, and I'm actually going to look the other way, because if I was to look at anyone here while I said these words, technically we would all be married by this moment. So some will choose the words Hare at Mekadeshet li tabatzo. I hereby consecrate you to me with this ring. And many will choose words that echo what we see in this prayer. Ani ledodi v'dodi li. I am my beloved's, and my beloved is mine. Lecha dodi. Two beloveds, two people joining their lives together. And so this evening, we are going to offer these same words. They're found on page 20 of our prayer books, Lecha dodi. And not yet, but when we get to the final verse of this particular song, this particular prayer, we'll actually turn to the door through which we entered our sanctuary, as it's a custom in some Jewish weddings for people to rise as the bride enters the room. So too do we rise, welcoming in Shabbat this evening. We'll sing verses 1 and 5 and 9. I invite us to sing together, page 20.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. 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 Shamor v'zachor bedibur echad, Hishmi'anu el hamiuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, L'shem u'tiferet ve'litila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Hitoreri, kiva orech kumi ori, uri shir daberi. Kavod Adonai alaich nigla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nekabela. Boi בשלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצהלה, תוך אמונה ים סגולה, בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We have many different things that bring us into this space and many different things that we are celebrating this Shabbat. And among them, we celebrate a young person as he takes his first steps as a bar mitzvah, as an adult in our community. And so I'd like to call up Sam to light our candles as well as the rest of his family. The rest of the congregation, please be seated.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat.
I always think it's beautiful that we have candle lighting right before Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu is this prayer that is all about community. We actually call to one another. That's why in the very beginning you'll have whoever is leading the prayer do a short bow. That's to invite the congregation to join them. And then we all bow together, of course, that second time, knowing that this is a communal experience. Part of being, having a Jewish experience is being together with community. I learned once years ago, I talked to somebody who did a service, a major service. He got a prayer book, and he had the whole service alone in his room. And I asked him, what was it like? And, well, he was an academic, so it was fascinating for him because he spent the whole time, researching this particular prayer, whatever. But it's not the same. It's not the same to have a prayer experience or really any of our meaningful experiences without a profound connection to one another, without knowing that we are in this project together. It's one of the reasons why we have prayers that we share not just with each other, but with other communities in Long Beach, other communities in Southern California, and all around the world. And so, with another member of our community as an adult, we continue our service calling to one another. The words of Baruch Hu, page 28. Please rise.
Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai, yai la lai 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 lai, yai la lai 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 lai. Yai la lai 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 lai, yai la lai 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 lai, yai la lai 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 lai. Baruch hu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed. HaMevorach, HaMevorach le'olam va'ed.
We continue on page 30. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bidvaro ma'ariv aravim. Bechochma poteach she'arim, uvitvuna mishane itim. Umachalif et hazmanim, umisader et hakochabim, b'mishmeroteim barakia kirtzono, borei yom v'layla, golel or mipnei choshech, v'choshech mipnei or, uma'avir yom umevi layla, Adonai, umavdil ben yom uven layla, Adonai tzavaot shemo. El chai v'kayam, tamid yimloch alinu leolam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv. Aravim. I wonder if you've joined me as well on page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMa'ariv, Aravim. Page 32.
Ahavat olam, Beit Yisrael, Amcha havta, Amcha havta. Torah u'mitzvot, Chukim u'mishpatim, Otanu limadata, Otanu limadata. Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shachbenu, uvkumenu nasiach bechukecha, v'nismach b'divrei Toratecha, uv'mitzvotecha le'olam vad. Ki hem chayenu, ve'orech yameinu, uvahem negei yomam v'layla, negei yomam v'layla. Ve'ahavatcha al tasir, mimeinu le'olamim, Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev amo Yisrael, Ohev amo Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Le'olam va'ed. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
As we continue our Shema prayer with the V'ahavta, I'd like to call up Sam to lead us in this prayer this evening. The rest of the congregation I'd like to invite to please be seated.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך וכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברתם בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ושופטך ובקומך וקשרתם להיות ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתרתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem emet yasher koach. That's great.
Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before we ever stood at the foot of Mount Sinai. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, and that there is a better place, a promised land. We know that the winding way to that promise also passes through the wilderness, and there is quite simply no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 40.
Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh nora tehilot
Oseh
Fele Nora Tehilot Oseh Fele Malchutecha Ra'u Vanecha Boker Yom Lifnei Moshe Miriam Ze'eli Anu ve'amen
Adonai,
Yimloch
Yimloch,
Leolam
Leolam,
Vaed
Vaed,
Adonai Yimloch
Yimloch,
Leolam
Leolam,
Vaed Yaidai 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 Yaidai
Adonai,
Yimloch
Yimloch,
Leolam
Leolam,
Vaed
Vaed,
Adonai Yimloch
Yimloch,
Leolam Vaed.
I always find it interesting that this next prayer is traditionally done on Friday night when we don't actually usually wear a talit. Another time I'll share the reason why we don't wear talitot on Friday night. I think it's actually a really beautiful reason. Maybe you'll come up and ask, or another time I'll share that. But nevertheless, we have the prayer Hashkivenu, which calls to mind the image of a sheltering presence, something that is draped over our heads, over our shoulders. And so often in our tradition, that is a talit. I'd like to suggest that just as we find comfort in something that is strictly symbolic, we might find comfort in something that is simply done by our actions. This evening, we do sit underneath a talit, the talit or canopy of our sanctuary together. But perhaps on Friday night, we don't need the actual garment. We create that garment simply with our voices, with our intention, maybe the arm of a friend over our shoulders. Well, let's join together for these words. Page 42.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Ushmor tzeteinu uvoinu lechaim u'shalom ne'ata ve'ad olam. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu leshalom v'hamidenu shomreinu lechaim.
We've come to Vishamru, which is a little bit of a, well, there's some actions for this particular prayer. And we warmed up today already because we were with the tots who were jumpy. Yeah,
They were jumpy.
They were, yeah.
can jump, man.
They were, yeah. What was the prayer that you did where they all, Bim Bob.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bim
they were all ready to jump. It was fun. Well, jumping is optional on this,
It's a little more fun.
It's a little more fun if you jump. It's a little, and I'm looking at everyone who's online, or a wave. So there is. Thank you, Odette. So there's a part of this prayer that it's interesting. It's a short word, but we say it. It's elongated a lot of times. During that part of our prayer, it is. I think it's become tradition. I've been here a year and a quarter, so I can say what tradition is at Temple Israel, right?
It's the minchag.
Yeah, it's minchag, right. So it has become fast tradition, or maybe someone will tell me that it's been tradition for many, many years, for us to, so I'm seeing some nodding heads, so tradition for many years, to lift up a little bit. So right, jumping is optional, jumping is certainly fun, and should we do it together? So for the at part, I invite, maybe we'll practice this quickly. Anyone who knows this is the most complicated part of the evening, by the way.
Choreography.
Yeah. There we go. Okay, so we're ready. So for this next prayer, I invite us to lift up not just our arms, but the music and the choreography. It is intentional. This is a prayer that simply calls to mind how beautiful, how fun this evening is. So let's sing together, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם, אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
I have to share that I always miss a couple, and Cantor Cooper gets every single one.
Not all the time, but sometimes.
There was actually one a couple weeks ago, I think, where I got it and you didn't, and I think we wrote down, October, whatever. Yeah. Anyway. We continue now with the core of our service. And I'd like to introduce it and bring us into this space with an Abraham Joshua Heschel quote that is in our prayer book, right there on the page entering the core of our service, entering that tefillah, that Amidah. We are a people in whom the past endures, in whom the present is inconceivable without moments gone by. The Exodus lasts a moment enduring forever. What happened once upon a time happens all the time. And continue on page 46. I'd like to invite us to rise in body or in spirit.
Yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, yai lai 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 lai, yai lai lai, yai lai lai lai, Adonai, Svatai tiftach, Ufi agid tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu, Velohei avotenu ve'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Velohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'konei Hakol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imachot, Umevi Geula livnei v'neihem, Lema'an Shemo be'ahava, Melech Ozer u'Moshia u'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham ve'Izrat Sarah. Atah Gibor le'olam Adonai, Mechaye hakol atah, Rav lechoshia, Mashiv haruach u'morid hagashem, Mechalchel chayim bechesed, Mechaye hakol berachamim rabim, Somech noflim ve'rofei cholim, Umatir asurim, Umekayim emunato, Lishnei afar, Michamocha bagevurot, Umidom elach, Melech memir umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'emanat halehachayot hakol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh, Ukdoshim b'hoyom yehalelucha selah, Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh.
Days pass, and the years vanish, and we walk sightless among miracles. And so we ask God, fill our eyes with seeing, fill our minds with knowing, and let there be moments when your presence like lightning illumines the darkness in which we walk. Help us to see wherever we gaze that the bush burns unconsumed, and we, clay, touched by God, will reach out for holiness and exclaim in wonder, how filled with awe is this place, and we did not know it. Baruch atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. We continue now silently with our Amidah, either using words we might find in the pages to follow or other words we might find in our hearts. We'll join back together again on page 62, and when you've finished your prayer, I invite you please to be seated.
יהיו לרצון אמרי fi yihiu leratzon imrei fi והגיון ליבי לפניך יהיו לרצון אמרי פי אדוני צורי וגואלי אדוני צורי וגואלי My God, my rock and my Redeemer, Adonai Suri Vegoali. My heart opens for you, my lips pray to you. Please, please shine through. Ratzon imrei fi yihiu leratzon imrei fi vehegion libi lefanecha yihiu leratzon imrei fi.
We know that there are many ways to find strength, many ways to find healing in our world. And one of the ways that we find that strength, one of the ways that we find solidarity and healing is simply by being with one another. And it is quite simply not possible to share another person's experience without knowing it. And so this evening we have the opportunity to hear some words from one of the members of our community who is a survivor of breast cancer. Knowing both that hearing about it and learning a little about, or knowing that the work of prevention is a critical part, and also that there is strength, that healing is not just a physical healing, but an emotional, a spiritual healing as well. And this space is one, hopefully, where we can have that. And so this evening, as we hear this story, I invite us and hope that this is as well a place of healing for each and every one of us. I'll mention also that Lynne Kass has shared some of her story before, and it was so powerful we asked her to share it again. About a year ago, she shared some of her story as well. And so we have the opportunity. It was so profound that we get to hear it. We get to hear it again. It was so good, we asked for her to do it again. That was just a partial introduction, but please come on up. This evening, we'll hear from Lynne, her story, and her thoughts as well.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I'm Lynne Kass. I'm a Temple member, and I'm a breast cancer survivor of 8 years. When I was first approached to speak about my cancer experience for the Temple, I somewhat jokingly asked both Sharon and Rabbi if they really wanted me to share my story. Because when I think about my experience with cancer overall, I feel amazingly fortunate. In fact, I usually joke that if you have to have cancer, then my way is the way to do it. I did have a double mastectomy, but my surgery, recovery, and reconstruction went very smoothly, and I didn't have to deal with any additional treatment like chemo or radiation. There are many times that my cancer experience seems more like a blip on my radar than a defining experience of my life. But I would like to share a few things with you, and I hope that you'll find them helpful. So, prior to my cancer diagnosis, I had only ever been in the hospital to deliver my 3 children, and I almost never went to the doctor except for an annual checkup, and confession, I wasn't always totally on time with those visits. In fact, I had just scheduled myself for an overdue appointment with a new physician when I realized that something was wrong. For some reason, I have an incredibly vivid memory of this moment. I was in my car after a workout class, and I was adjusting my sports bra when I felt a lump, really multiple lumps, in my right breast. My initial reaction was denial. I kept trying to convince myself that it was just something normal and that I felt something similar on the left side as well, but I didn't. And then I thought, wow, this is going to be a strange first visit with a new doctor. Hi, I'm here for a checkup, and oh, by the way, I think I have a lump in my breast. And while it was strange, my new doctor was great, another fortunate part of my experience, and immediately got me set up for the next steps. Just a few days later, she called to tell me it was cancer. I was in the parking lot of the Alpert JCC for that call. And while I wasn't surprised, I don't think you can ever really be ready for that news. After the initial shock, I think the next thing I truly felt was guilt. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what I might have done to cause this. Did I drink too much coffee? I drink a lot of coffee. Should I have gotten in sooner for a mammogram? The list was endless. And while I was scared for myself, I remember feeling really terrible for putting my family, and especially my kids who were 17, 14, and 11 at the time, through this. In retrospect, I don't think the guilt was particularly helpful, but I did want to share this with you because I'm sure those feelings were not unique to me. And if you have a friend or a loved one who's dealing with cancer, it might explain why they have difficulty in sharing their feelings or in asking for help. The other thing I learned as my journey went on is that there are very few right answers, that the diagnosis often changes and evolves, and that you need to be flexible. I originally thought I was looking at a lumpectomy and radiation, but then my MRI showed a much larger affected area than expected, so lumpectomy was no longer an option. In addition to that, the MRI indicated that there was a shadow on the left side that might mean a problem there as well. Unfortunately, they weren't successful in biopsying that breast, so I didn't have a definitive answer. But I did need to make a decision, a mastectomy or a double mastectomy. I spoke with a lot of people and got a lot of opinions, but ultimately it was a personal decision. I decided on the double mastectomy because I didn't feel comfortable with the thought of having mammograms every 6 months and waiting for the other shoe to drop, or at least that's how it felt to me. The other decision I made was on the timing of my surgery. Initially, we were looking at a date in early June, but 2 of my 3 children were graduating that year, one from 5th grade and one from 8th grade. And those celebrations would have been completely impacted by the surgery. In speaking with my surgeon, I determined that it wouldn't change anything for me to wait a few additional weeks. And while I don't think everyone agreed with my decision, I knew that moving the date would allow me, mentally, to complete some tasks and put some things in order so that I could better focus on myself and the surgery and the recovery. In addition to having great doctors and medical care, it was also incredibly important to have a caring and supportive community around me. I didn't initially share my diagnosis with a lot of people, but as time went on, I began to talk with more members of the community, and I was amazed at how many women I spoke with had also battled breast cancer, and yet I never knew. I think that made it seem more normal and helped me to work through some of that guilt I was feeling. It's why programs like tonight and the work that Sharsheret does are so important. I was also very touched by people's thoughtfulness. A childhood friend of mine from New York sent me several shirts with buttons or zippers knowing that I wouldn't be able to pull clothing over my head for a while after surgery. Another friend came over several times after surgery to wash and blow dry my hair, which was amazing. And it seemed as though any doctor's appointment that my husband couldn't be at with me, there was a friend there ready to be with me instead. I'm not one that normally or easily asks for help, and so people saying, "I would like to do this for you," meant a lot. I was not familiar with Sharsheret when I was diagnosed with cancer, and that's the group that last year helped organize the Pink Challah Bake that we did and organizes things like this Pink Shabbat tonight. But I'm certain that I would have taken advantage of their services had I known about them. I think having the opportunity to speak with someone who has gone through a similar experience is invaluable. I was actually lucky, again, that a good friend of mine put me in touch with a friend of hers who, as it turned out, had a very similar cancer experience to mine. It was really helpful to speak with her and to get access to some of the blogs that she wrote about her and she posted after her journey. Sometimes it's the simplest things, like what to pack to bring to the hospital, or an idea of what your body might feel like after surgery, that help make the journey a little easier. With that, I think I'll wrap it up, but I want to thank all of you for listening to my story. Please know that I'm always available if you have questions, or if you know someone who might benefit from speaking with me. Shabbat Shalom.
Lynne, thank you for sharing your story, for offering not just the opportunity for us to talk about this together as a community, but to share some of the specific things that are helpful as somebody goes through an experience of treatment, of healing. And thank you also for mentioning Sharsheret, a partner this evening, a group that has helped us organize for this evening. We know that healing and that strength is, thank God, an opportunity and an action that happens within the medical community. And that there is, as you mentioned, Lynne, a wider healing that takes place as well, and strength from being together with community. And so I actually we deliberately moved our healing prayer this evening to after you spoke, in the hopes that we might include in that the need and healing of every member of our community who is still in the process of healing from their experience with breast cancer. And of course we mean a physical healing, but we also mean an emotional healing as well. That this is a lifelong process of knowing that when you are in need, when any of us need to lean a little bit, that we have a community that is strong, that can be leaned on. And so I invite us to turn our thoughts to those who are in need of healing. And that is a healing of body or a healing of mind, spirit, or soul. And if you are joining us online, I invite you to place the names of those that you are thinking of in the chat. We will be able to read their names shortly. And for those of us who are here, I invite us to think now of those who are in need of healing. I'll first read a list of names here, then I'll open it up to all of us to share. Together we are thinking of Miriam Elisheva, Colleen Carver, Darren Hammer, Steve Gratch, Laura Bleiberg, Bob Wallace, Bob Bender, Wendy Bender, Dorothy Kay, Joshua Kay, Marlene Sanchez, Lori Gerstmann, Renee Simon, Art Levine, Charlotte Axel, Kim DeSellis, and Robin Nahan, Leah Pask, Burton Gifford, Kim Gifford, Jordan Gifford, Brandon Berry, Marcella Gersh, Randy Holbert, Wade Chernick, Sandra Chernick, Don Kaiser, Ellen Sinaga, Marla Klesmer, Barbara Wieglin, Yaakov Ben Eliyahu V'Yehudit, Erwin Spiegel, David Randall, Danny Grief, Sharon Eisner, Janice Robbins, Brian Edelman, Cheryl Fossum, Bill McDaniel, Mark Briggs, Linda Allen, Julie Raphael Wood, Rachel Herman, Janice Krantz, Mindy Raphael Hyde, Larry Blum, David Roman, David Keene, Richard Mills, Anita Noriga, Leon Bland, Carlos Sanchez, Rosalind Daskal, Christina Kubelka, Julie Dolan Garner, Nadine Picard, Tut Kempel, Brian Dunleavy, Tim Wong, Josephine Danziger, and Michael Duncan. If you are thinking of anyone this evening, if you'd like to share their name aloud as my eyes pass across our room, I'd like to invite you to share their names.
About Hannah and Mel Birkin, who both have breast cancer.
We add to this Pat Rolls, Gloria Schmidt, Julia Montgomery, Roger Herrera, Sally Perlman, Barry Perlman, Linda Lord, Michelle Dunn, Olivia Escoboza, Jeff Kohlenberg, Sandy Steinbacher, and Judy Emmy, as well as Peter Prupas and Robin Shapiro. I invite us all to sing the words together, Anna Elna, words that come from a moment of two people sharing the need for healing. Moses asking God for healing as Miriam is stricken. He offers up the very simple words, Anna Elna. We sing together. We continue our service now with the words of Aleinu. These words can be found on page 282 of our prayer books. Page 282, I'd like to invite us to please rise in body or in spirit.
Ushemo, Ushemo, Ushemo Echad.
Please be seated. Well, our thoughts now turn to those in our community who have died in recent days or in this season in years past. And if you are joining us online and there is someone that you are thinking of, especially this Shabbat, I invite you to place their name in the chat. Together, we are observing Shiva and Shloshim, the 7 days and the 30 days after the death of Madge Pizer, and we mourn with those near to Madge. We mourn with Perry and Brad, Lindsay and Sydney, and Jack and Benny. We mourn with those near to Ralph Mindus. We mourn with Jane and Ronnie and Ellen. And we additionally mark the yard site, the anniversary of the passing of Harry Albin, Marcia Blank, Esther Buckholz, August Bussey, Tilly Evans, Ida Feldman, Werner Florsheim, Mo Fried, Shirley Gold, Esther Kohut, Fred Korach, Laverne Leonardo, Glenn Levy, Florence Locks, Phyllis Lowenthal, Marilyn Melamed, Edith Meltzer, Celia Ort, Maurice Odiz, Gustav Reichelsheimer, Ted Roslinski, Esther Stone, Jacob Stone, Saul Wolin, Helene Worsley, and Ruth Yarborough. If you are here having suffered a recent loss or are observing the 12 months or the anniversary of the yard site of the death of someone near to you, you'd like to share their name aloud as my eyes pass across the room, I'd like to invite you to do so. I'd like to invite all of us to rise together in love and in solidarity. So we offer the words of the Mourner's Kaddish, which are on page 294 of our prayer books. It gadal, bit gadash shemei rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei ve'amlich malchutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chay dechol beit Yisrael, ba'gala uv'izman kari v'imru, amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Leolam Omel Maya Yit Barach Vishtabach Vit Pa'ar Vit Ramam Vit Naseh Vitadar Vitale Vitalal Shmei de Kudisha Barichu Le'ela Min Kol Birchata Vishirata Tushbechata Venechamata Damiran Be'alma V'imru Amen Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Alinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen Osei Shalom B'mramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Alinu Ve'al Kol Yisrael Ve'al Kol Yeshvei Tevel V'imru Amen. Zichronam Livracha. May the memories of those near to us always be a source of blessing. I invite us together to say Amen. Well, I invite us to take the Nechemta, the positive note placed right at the bottom of our Mourner's Kaddish, and actually indented, knowing that we might sing it at some point. On the very same page, at the very bottom of that same prayer, you'll find the words, Say Shalom, a reminder and an invitation to bring peace into this world. I invite us to sing together.
shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen. Lai 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 lai, ya la lai la la lai lai lai, ya la lai la la lai lai lai, ya lai 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 lai, ya la lai la la lai lai lai, ya la lai la la lai lai lai. Oseh shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru Amen.
We have a couple more things before we finish. I'd first like to invite up a member of our board of directors, Lori Arroyo, to offer some announcements, some of the goings on in the community. Yeah, and always deserving of an applause for sure. Please feel free to remain standing, but please be seated if you would like. We'll have a couple more things.
No. Oh, there we go. Okay. Shabbat shalom. I thought I was off the hook. We had our final song, and I was ready to go have motzi. Say motzi? Anyway, here I am. One of the things that struck me about these announcements when I was looking them over before earlier today is we have something every day of the week. There are a lot of things that repeat, but every single day there is something for us. It's pretty remarkable. Saturday morning, tomorrow, our Torah study class meets both in person and on Zoom. Class begins at 8:45 a.m. and tomorrow's class will be led, as usual, by Rabbi Fox. Tomorrow's Shabbat morning services begin at 10:30 a.m. and we'll celebrate with the Michaels family the bar mitzvah of their son Samuel. And I have to say that the Ve'ahavta was so moving, his sincerity, and I don't know, it was very moving. Saturday evening, Linda Kiles will be leading an online discussion about the movie The Zookeeper's Wife. You can watch the movie on Netflix and join us online at 7 p.m. So now, Monday at 9:45, we have our new Joys of Jewish Learning class, New Testament study from a Jewish perspective. Then, on Tuesday, our men's Minyan discussion group meets at 9:30 a.m. You can contact Alan Lillian if you're interested. Wednesday, the social justice group will be meeting at 11 a.m. Thursdays at 7:30, we have meditative morning Minyan experience with Bill Shafton, available on Zoom. Then Thursday, now that there's a double on Thursday. Our Tanakh study group also meets at 10:15 a.m. If you would like to participate, contact Martine Korak. Also on Thursday at noon, we have our Joys of Jewish Learning class, Narratives of Reconciliation and Reconnection in Genesis with Rabbi Robin Thunberg on Zoom. This will be the final class in the series. Friday, of course, you won't want to miss our next Shabbat on October 29th at 7 p.m. as we welcome back Got Shabbat with Kendra Kogert and the Shabbatones. For those of you who have never enjoyed Got Shabbat, it's a jazz-infused musical Shabbat service that will have you up and dancing in the aisles. Also next weekend, our Social Action Committee will be hosting their annual winter clothing drive to help the homeless and needy in Long Beach. It will be happening on Sunday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. and Monday and Tuesday as well. Then, coming up November 5th through the 7th, is our musical weekend celebrating the installation of Rabbi Fox. We hope you will join us for this fun weekend. There are details in the Shabbat program. Then, moving a little bit further out, but not to be forgotten, on November 11th, between 10 and 3 p.m., Temple Israel Sisterhood presents the Handmade Holiday Craft Fair. You can shop for your holiday gifts at this unique artist fair. If you ever have a question about how to attend one of our classes or programs, look for our emails or call the Temple office. Our staff is there ready and happy to help you. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you. We have one more thing for us to do this evening, and thank you. Thank you, Lori, for offering the announcements this evening. And before we continue with our final thing, I just want to say a thank you to David York for offering music this evening. Yeah. And a very special thank you to Lynne for offering your words, your story, and bringing all of us just, I think, a little bit closer to a place of healing with this. It is, I think, invaluable, not just to be able to hear your story, but to be together in hearing it. Just, Lynne, thank you for offering your story, your words, your strength this evening. Thank you. This evening, we also celebrate Sam's the beginning of the day of Sam's bar mitzvah. And so I'd actually like to call up Sam and his family again this evening as we offer our blessing for our Kiddush and our Challah. We'll continue our evening with an Oneg Shabbat, a bit of sweetness just outside of our sanctuary, but we'll begin with our blessing here this evening. Thank you. So come on over. Well, let's offer the blessing all together. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratza ba'anu, v'shabbat kodsho, v'ahava uvratzon inchilanu, Zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra kodesh, zecher l'tzion Mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, Yahava uvratzon in chaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai, Mikadesh Hashamat L'chaim L'chaim. How's it taste?
Good.
All right. Tastes all right? All right. It's a good vintage? Yeah. What do we say?
It's a good month.
It's a good month, right? We continue with our blessing over our challah, knowing that there is so too a chain of work that brings this challah to our table. So too do we bless this day, knowing that there is a chain of work that goes to a celebration such as this.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Bamotzi lechem min haaretz b'teyavon.
B'te'avon, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We'll continue our oneg, the joy of this evening, with some challah for everyone just outside of our sanctuary, just outside of our synagogue. But we want to do the blessing together this evening. Wishing everyone a Shabbat Shalom, a good and sweet Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
You're a man now. I'm driving. It's okay.
Thank you. Looks like I'm driving home.
Yes, we have a driver.
That was great.